Hello, and welcome to the step-by-step process on how to record drums. My name is Harrison Whitecloud, and I am a student at the Recording Arts Center in San Diego, California. This video is meant for beginners and for those who have a little bit more experience under their belt when it comes to recording. To start off, you are going to need a recording setup. Keep in mind that recording setups can be expensive, but there are setups out there that get the job done for a much lower price. You are going to need a computer that is capable of handling the processing of your DAW, or your digital audio workstation. For this video, the computer that I'm running is a Mac operating system with Pro Tools 12 as my DAW. Next, you're going to need a lot of microphone preamps as well as an analog to digital converter, which is most commonly referred to as an audio interface. Next, you're going to need a lot of XLR cables to connect your microphones to your microphone preamps. Of course, you're going to need a pair of speakers to listen to your recordings through, but if you don't have a pair of studio monitors, then a pair of headphones should do the trick. Last but not least, you're going to need a lot of microphone stands, which also are very expensive. One of the most important things about recording in general is the room that you're going to be recording in. It is ideal that you record in a room that has proper acoustic treatment that is big enough to hold the entire drum set as well as the microphone stands. For this video, we recorded drums in Studio A. So for this video, we ended up putting the drums in the center of the room because that is the spot where I have had the least amount of issues with when recording in Studio A. Next up, you're going to want a drummer, preferably one who is easy to work with, shows up on time, knows their parts, and maintains their equipment. Now we're going to talk about drums. Drums come in all types of different sizes and depths, so work with what fits best for the music that you're recording. The music that we recorded for this video is more rock and metal oriented, so we worked with sizes that fit best for that type of music. The drum sizes that we used were a 22-inch kick, a 14-inch snare, a 10-inch rack tom, a 12-inch rack tom, a 14-inch floor tom, and a 16-inch floor tom. The cymbals that we ended up using for this video were Meinl cymbals. They sound great, they are consistent, and they fit well with the music that we were working with. The cymbal configuration depended on what Garrett wanted, but a good basic guideline to follow for a cymbal setup is hi-hats, a pair of crashes, and a ride. For those who don't know, here is an easy step-by-step process on how to set up your drum set. Start off with a rug that is big enough to hold the entire drum set. After that, place all of your cymbals on your cymbal stands and position them in the general area of where you're going to put them on the drum set. When you're finished with that, take your throne and position it towards the back of the rug and make sure it's at a nice, comfortable height. The key to a great drum set is how comfortable your chair is. When your throne is nice and comfortable, position your kick drum as well as its pedals. Up next is your snare drum, then your rack toms, and then your floor toms. Once you're finished positioning your drums, take your cymbals and position them accordingly onto the drum set. Okay, now we're going to talk about microphones. The microphones that we used for the entire drum set were an AKG D112 for the kick in, a Yamaha Subkick for the kick out, a pair of Shure SM57s for the snare top and bottom. For the rack toms were Sennheiser E604s. For the first floor tom is another AKG D112, and for the second floor tom is a Shure Beta 52. For the hi-hat and ride microphones, we used a pair of Shure SM81s. For the overheads, we used a pair of AKG C414s configured into the cardioid polar pattern. For the room microphones, we used a pair of Shure KSM44s configured into the figure 8 polar pattern. Last, we used a Shure SM57 to capture the ambience of the drum set, which is most commonly referred to as a trash mic. Next, we're going to talk about one of the most important things, which is microphone placement. Without getting into the drummer's way, position the close mics nearest to the center of the drum. There are plenty of miking techniques for recording overheads, but for this video, we chose a spaced pair. When placing overhead microphones, draw an imaginary line that cuts through the drum set, extending from the ride to the hi-hat. Line up your microphones with that imaginary line and create an even spacing between the two microphones over the center of the kit. Make sure that both of your microphones are equally spaced from the center of the drum set using either an XLR cable or a tape measure. Just like the overheads, there are plenty of miking techniques to record the room. For this video, we also chose a space pair for the room mics. Start with your room mics evenly spaced, facing towards the source, anywhere between 3 and 10 feet away. If you have your microphones facing down, you're going to capture more of the drum sound, and if you face your microphones up, it's going to capture more of the cymbal sound. Just like the overheads, make sure that the room mics are at equal lengths from the center of the drum set using either an XLR cable or a tape measure. For the trash microphone, you can position it anywhere you want. Now that we have our microphones placed, it is time to get levels. The standard bit depth and sample rate you should be recording at is 24 bits and 44.1 kilohertz. Getting levels is the process of cranking the gain on your microphone preamp until it reads anywhere between -6 and -9 dB. You do not want to clip your converters going into your DAW. The microphone preamps that we used for this recording were a series of SSL and Neve preamps. Once you have proper levels, check your microphones for phase cancellation issues. Once everything is phase aligned, you should send a drum mix to your drummer via one of the outputs of your converter. Before you hit record, make sure your hardware buffer size is set anywhere between 32 samples and 128 samples. If you set your hardware buffer size higher, you will experience latency issues. Now that you have everything set properly, you are ready to record. That's all I got for you. I'd like to thank Amelia Sarkissian and Garrett Brown for helping out in the production of this video. And thank you for watching, and I hope it guides you to a quick and efficient workflow for recording drums.